I'm sitting here with Salomon Abrego, and I'm going to call him Mr. Abrego for very respectful reasons. He is a World War II veteran, and he got to see a part of history that not a lot of people got to see. And I'm very, very glad he got to join me today. And so we could talk about that history that, not a lot of people got to see and he got to witness firsthand. So Mr. Abrego, I really appreciate your time today. And if you don't mind, we'll just go ahead and get right to it because I know we're kind of crunched for time today. But let's just start from the beginning. You said you joined the military in 1942, correct?
In June.
June of 19. What made you join the military? I understand World War II was going on at the time, but what made you sit up and say, I have to join the military and help our country?
It was very active, and I knew I was going to be called. So I volunteered instead. That way I would choose my own branch.
So if you volunteered before you got drafted, you could choose Army, Navy, or Marines.
Yeah, or infantry, or tanks, or artillery.
But if you got drafted without volunteering, they would just put you wherever, so you had no choice.
If you got drafted, they would put you in a group, and some companies says, we need 150 men. You would select anybody.
So which branch did you choose? Since you got to choose, which did you choose, military or Marines, excuse me?
No, Army.
You chose Army? Okay, so you chose the Army. And then with that, what were your years of service? So it had been 1942 and then until the end of World War II, correct? Or
yes. I came home in December 1945.
What countries did you get sent to during your campaign in World War II?
Yeah, well, England, and then France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany. I was all over Germany from Frankfurt. We crossed all the way to the borderline of Czechoslovakia, and actually when we went from Frankfurt, we went to Leipzig, and then we went down to Dresden.
That's where they had the fires, right? Dresden was on flames. Yeah.
And then we went to two concentration camps.
Do you remember the names of the camps?
Buchenwald and I always forget the second one. But we were there for just two days.
That's it.
And we went to Czechoslovakia, to Pilsen, and the Russians were right there. So we were facing each other for the end of the war.
But the Russians were kind of our friends, but towards the end
they were allies.
But towards the end, they got a little tricky, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when you were at the camps, Pop, were there German soldiers at the camps?
At the camp?
Were they all gone by then? But were there German soldiers at the concentration? Did they surrender to the U.S.?
No, they left.
They left?
Yeah, they left. And they left the inmates by themselves. Yeah.
And Trey, you had some questions about that, right?
So if they were already, so I know Germany surrendered in May of 1945. So you must have got to the camp after May of 1945.
Well, did you get to the camps after Germany surrendered in May?
Yes, I stayed in Pilsen, Czechoslovakia. I remember that we were on our way when somebody informed us that Hitler had committed suicide. And we met the Russians on the Elbe River in Targo, Germany, and we were about 40 miles from Berlin. And then
and the 2 days that you were at the camp with the survivors, we
didn't sleep with them.
No. But did they know? Did they know that they were being rescued?
Well, yes, they knew. Some of them didn't know anything. I helped feed one of them who even forgot to feed himself.
Wow.
And my name is on a building in Houston
Mhm.
that I had been in the concentration camps with the army.
Do you remember which building, Pop, in Houston?
Yeah, it's the it's a museum.
Okay.
It's called it's the famous name that they give the concentration camps.
Holocaust Museum?
Huh?
Holocaust Museum in Houston?
Yeah,
In Houston?
yeah.
We'll look that up, Trent.
It's about the Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rock was able to ask for me that they knew they were being saved. So when you showed up, they knew you were the good guys and that they were being liberated. Where did they go after they were saved? Like, where were they sent to after that?
From Pilsen, Czechoslovakia.
No, the Jewish survivors in the camps. Where did they send the Jewish survivors?
Oh no, I don't know because we left.
So you were just taking care of them at the camp, and then you had to go somewhere else.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
Pilsen.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how they did it. You know.
Mm.
It's in the books, in literature.
Yeah.
And that's where they said that girl, where book was written about her.
Yeah. Yeah. Anne Frank.
Huh?
The Diary of Anne Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they sent her, and she just lived from Belgium.
Mhm.
They sent her to a concentration camp, and they named it, and she died 2 days later there in the camp.
Probably got a good couple more questions in, Trent.
Okay, I just probably have a few more. And then the other one I was just really curious about, did you know what you were going to see when you got to the camp? Like, did the American soldiers know that Jewish people were being, tortured and killed in these camps? Like, did you know that was going on before you got to the camp?
There were too many.
So before you got to the concentration camp, did you know what to expect when you got there?
From where?
To the concentration camp?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
know how to expect?
Did you know what to expect when you saw the camps?
I would expect what?
Did we go to the other side? Did you know what to expect when you got to the camp, what you saw?
No, it was everybody was in shock.
Really?
Yeah, all of us,
Wow.
all the Americans were in shock.
Wow. So did you hear that, Trent?
Yeah, I did. He said that they were in shock and they actually didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, yeah.
But you said this camp was in Czechoslovakia that you liberated?
Yes.
And then the last question I guess I have for you here is, what did you do when you got out of the military? What was did you go home and get married?
I went to the University of Texas.
Hook 'em. I used to work for the University of Texas, so hook 'em. Well, that's all I really had for you. I was just some, curious thoughts that are not easy to find. And I used to have a cousin that was Oh, yes, sir.
Let me add something. When I was in Czechoslovakia, I received a letter from home that my brother had been killed in the Pacific. And the funny thing is that when I was after the Battle of the Bulge,
Mhm.
I had a dream that my brother, I saw him in a coffin, and I would look at him like that in the coffin, dead in the coffin. And I would say in the dream, no, I'd rather die rather than him because he's married and he's a little
Yeah,
boy.
kids, yeah.
So I'd rather be the one to die. And then I would see myself in the coffin. And I looked at me and I said, no, I better not. I better let things. And then I had switched back and forth, and then I would see my brother and I said, no, I think I'd rather die in this war. It went on several instances.
Mhm.
And when 6 months later, I knew that he had died.
Mhm.
But the thing is, how funny that, and I have known through my 98 years that I have a lot of telepathy. I thought of you 2 days before you came.
Did you?
Yeah.
And I didn't tell anybody. I told my dad, Only my dad and my brother knew I was coming.
Huh?
Oh, goodness.
Only my dad knew and my brother, Cody.
Yeah.
The only two people I told.
They didn't tell me anything.
Yeah, no, they didn't tell anybody.
I have a lot of interests where I believe in telepathy because I remember somebody, and a few days later, I found out that they died.
Well, I'm glad that didn't happen with me.
So just I guess kind of hit on that. So your brother died during the middle of the war, but you didn't find out until you went home.
My brother died a month before the war ended in the Pacific.
And I'm sorry for that because that was probably tough to read when you got home on that telegram. So I'm sorry about that, Mr. Abrego.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. I actually had a cousin that was in World War II, and he just died a couple of years ago. He actually got shot by a Nazi in one of the battles, and I never got to ask him about it. And then he died, and I never got my chance. So I'm glad I got a chance to speak with you, you know. So, but Mr. Abrego, once again, I appreciate you agreeing to do this, and thank you once again, sir, and thank you for your service.
Well, you should be a very nice fellow, and I'm glad you're a friendship with my grandson.
He's actually my boss. He calls me his friend, but he's actually my boss. So no, we're both. We have a good relationship. So we've been working together for about 3 years now.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, we have a good job down here in Austin, so I think we'll keep that job for a while. So, and if he lets me keep it, that is. So, thank you, Bob. All right, thank you, Mr. Abrego.
Okay, nice meeting you.